What up, nerds? I'm Bryson. You can call me Bammed, and this is CTF and Cigars by Bam CTF, where I light up a cigar, I talk about CTFs, hacking, security, and whatever random stream of consciousness happens to enter my prefrontal cortex. So, exciting news. This week, 2 days from now, the first CTF that I put together, 2021, is happening. Last year, I did five. I think five, 4 or 5, something like that. Um, this year, I don't know how many we're gonna do. The company I was working for, who was I'm sorry, I haven't lost my job, but the company I'm working for, Perch Security, was acquired by ConnectWise, and I don't know exactly what their plans are for CTFs and that sort of thing this year. I know we have been talking about it, and I think through ConnectWise we might have some really cool stuff. Some pretty exciting plans, but it's still just talk, so I can't really go into it yet. But yeah, this week we're doing a CTF. Pretty excited about it. This is going to be a King of the Hill style CTF, and I'm going to go into that into some more detail in just a moment. But before we do that, I'm going to do what I always do, and we're going to light up a cigar. So today I've got this thing. Let's have a look at this. So look at the odd shape. So see how it's kind of cut weird at the end. It's kind of tapered off at the tips here. It's kind of almost like a torpedo, but not quite. And then it's got this ring here that comes off. This little metal sort of gear that's part of it. So this is it's by Foundry Tobacco. So they do a lot of the kind of gimmicky things like this. Since they're called Foundry, they'll usually have some kind of gear or something around the cigar. But this one in particular is an odd shape. This is called this is the Foundry number 4. So they've got 4 of them, and I know you probably can't see there at the bottom of the label, they've got a list of the 4 types that they have, which there's the Wells, the Lovelace, the Talbot, and the Cayley. So this is the number 4, the Cayley, and each of them are named after either people who have been influential in computer science or engineering or science fiction. And in this case, the Cayley, it's named after George Cayley, who was an English engineer, one of the founding fathers of flight. And the shape is meant to look a little something like some of his bizarre designs. And I think I've got one of those pulled up here. Yeah, there it is. Let's switch over to that window. There we go. So there you can see one of his designs. And this is meant to be something kind of similar to that. That they're trying to take his odd designs and turning it into a cigar. And then of course they got kind of a steampunk feel. I just got the one. I didn't buy a box, but I've seen some of the boxes. They also got kind of a steampunk feel to it. And then of course the cool little gear. It's an interesting design. I kind of like it. But I haven't smoked one of these before, so I'm not exactly sure what to expect. So we're gonna normally I take down some notes and kind of give you my review of the cigar before I even light it up. I'm gonna do this as I go, so we'll see how that goes. I've never really done a live review as I smoke it. We'll kind of see what happens. So let's start off with a smell. So there's a few parts to a cigar review that you'll normally see. Now I am not an expert. I do not claim to be an expert in any way, shape, or form. I am not an aficionado. I'm just some guy who smokes some cigars, a lot of cigars. Right. So a cigar review. You start off with the aroma, then you go into the pre-light inhale. So you'll go ahead and just inhale it before you light it to get a little bit of the flavor from that. Then you light it, and then there's the first third. So the first about third of the cigar usually has a specific profile, and the second third has a different one, and the final third has a usually stronger, more robust taste, because as you're smoking it, the smoke's actually traveling through the tube and it's building up inside of it, and it just changes the flavor profile as you smoke it. So let's start off. We're going to cut it. So this is a little kind of tapered off here at the end. Reminds me a little bit of a torpedo. If the shape was a little bit different, if it was tapered off at both ends, I'd probably say it's a torpedo. This is actually a, they call it a Toro Gordo. So let's see, it's 6.5 inches long. At the thickest, it's a 60 gauge. It's made in the Dominican Republic by, it's, Foundry's the company. It's a sun-grown Connecticut wrapper, and yeah, I think that's all I've actually got on it. I'm not sure what's in the filler. I didn't write that down. All right. Anyway, so it's supposed to be medium strength. Let's go ahead and cut this, and let's have a sniff first. So it smells pretty good. A little bit of light roast coffee, a little bit of leather, and kind of sort of wheat or bread kind of smell to that. All right, so we're gonna light up. So this is kind of a weird end, so we'll see how this lights. So when you light a cigar, usually you want to just sort of warm up the foot a bit. You don't really want to get the flame right on there. Man, this is kind of an odd angle. Not what I'm used to. Anyway, we're gonna warm that up, then we'll all right, get that nice and lit. Okay, so not bad. Starts off pretty smooth, kind of creamy. Getting a bit of pepper on the retrohale, a bit more leather on the retrohale there. So the retrohale is when you breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose. And by the way, when I say breathe in, you don't really breathe it in. You never breathe in the cigar smoke. You just sort of pull it into your mouth, swirl it around a bit, then exhale it. It's pretty smooth, a little creamy, a little buttery even. Yeah, a little bit of butter there. So let's, that's where we're starting. And it is another cold day in Houston, by the way. This isn't all smoke coming out of my mouth. This is it's just cold out here. All right. So that does it for getting the cigar lit. Let's talk about the CTF. So I've got a couple links I need to throw into the chat. If you have not registered for the CTF yet, why not? It's time. Go register now. And you can register at play.bamctf.com. I'm going to throw that into chat. So that's play.bamctf.com. BAMCTF.com. Go register now. So what is the CTF? So this is happening Thursday. And let's see, Thursday, January 14th at 10 a.m. Central is when we're starting. And then we're ending at 4 p.m. Central Time. And during the CTF, we will be live streaming the entire time. And when I say we, so this CTF, I got sponsorship by Huntress Labs. They're providing the prizes. Try Hack Me has also donated some subscriptions for prizes. So I'm pretty excited about all of that. But the live stream is going to be myself, some of my fellow employees from Perch/ConnectWise, as well as Huntress employees. And two of those, I believe, are going to be with me the entire day, which will be John Hammond, which if you're pretty active with CTFs, you probably know who he is. He's got a very active YouTube channel with content going back 10 years, all about CTFs and hacking, and a lot of great content. He's pretty well known in the community. So John Hammond will be joining me, as well as Dave Kleintland. I think that's how you say his last name. He's also with Huntress Labs. He's a pretty good guy. He's helped me put together CTFs in the past. So we've Perch worked last year with Huntress on a couple of CTFs. They helped put together some of the challenges, and we've had a pretty good partnership going there. So John and Dave will be joining me. We'll have some other Huntress and Perch employees coming and going. We're going to be talking about CTFs. We are going to be playing some video games. So I don't think I mentioned this, but this is going to be a video game themed CTF. And then this is the platform that we're going to be using. So this is FBCTF. So this is my first time using it, and I will say I'm not super happy with it. It doesn't have a lot of features, not what I would like to see. But the one thing it does have that I haven't seen other platforms have, like CTFD, is a King of the Hill style scoring, and that's what this is going to be. This is going to be a King of the Hill style CTF. So what does that mean? Well, let's what that means is that there's going to be a list of servers, and I think I've settled on 10. Those servers are going to be vulnerable by design, so they are going to be running vulnerable services. They're all going to be hosting video games, or at least having content related to those video games, and they're also already going to be compromised. So they're gonna have backdoors. They're gonna have some rootkits besides the actual vulnerabilities there. So there's going to be several ways to get into each system. They're going to be some misconfigurations. There's going to be reused credentials and keys and anything I can think of to make it easy to get in, because that's the point. For a King of the Hill style, you want to be able to get in quick, but then you've got to keep everybody else out. So just how does that work? I just kind of wanted to give a brief tutorial on scoring, just so you can kind of get an idea here. So let me find my console. Make sure I got the right console here. Oh, better clear that so I don't give anything away. Okay, now let's switch over. All right, so here's my console. So there is a scoring server running on, there's a scoring agent. So the server is going to periodically connect to each host, and it's going to check for a file. And that file is, there we go, this temp score points. All right, so the agent is accessing that file. This file is owned by root. And to capture the box, when you register on the FBCTF site, you're going to create a username, a team name. And to capture the box, you just need to put your team name into this file. So let's say my team name is BAMCTF. Then I just put that into /temp/ all caps score_points. Okay, not cat. What am I doing? Echo. There we go. So now if we cap the file, we can see it says BAMCTF. Now I don't have the scoring server up and running right now. The CTF isn't live, so we're not actually collecting points. But if it was live, we go back to the map here, what you would see. So if you look, all these countries, like they say inactive, when I set up the server on the configuration side, it's going to automatically assign each server to a country. And so what will happen is once you put your team name in that file in temp score points, temp score points, you then capture the box, and you'll see you'll see it light up with a yellow triangle here indicating that you have captured that country. And so you'll get 50 points when you capture it, and then every 30 seconds it'll check again, and if you still own the server, then you get another 10 points. If somebody else changes it, then they start accumulating points. Now, all that being said, there will be a file in the root directory. In /root, I'm going to put a file of all the core services, like a list of the core services, and you've got to maintain those services. So not only do you get in the box, get root, and maintain root, but you've also got to maintain those core services and make sure that they're up. Because I've got a Nagio server that's running as well, and it is going to check for those core services to see if they're still up, and if they're not, then it will disable scoring for that server. So if you if the services stop, then you stop getting points. If any of them stop, so if it's not a partial points kind of thing, so you've got to keep all the main services up and maintain route, and then as you do, you'll continue to accumulate points. Whoever has the most points at the end of the day wins. And what do you win? So this is also part of what I'm excited about. Huntress and Try Hack Me both really came through here. And I put this, I've said this before and I've put it on my Twitter, but let me make sure I got this right. Okay, so first prize, so whoever has the most points will get a custom Huntress Labs humidor. That's right. Huntress Labs is designing their own laser engraved humidor. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty excited to see what that looks like. As well as a 6-month subscription to Try Hack Me. Second place is going to be a $100 Amazon gift card plus a 3-month subscription to Try Hack Me. And then third place is a $50 Amazon gift card and a 1-month subscription to Try Hack Me. So yeah, that is the CTF that we've got coming up here in 2 days. That's Thursday. Today is January the 12th. It's happening January the 14th. So if you haven't registered yet, and yes, I'm talking to you, go register now. It's play.bamctf.com. One other thing you need to do, make sure you join the Slack channel. And let me throw the link for that here in chat as well. Let's see, where is that? Here we go. So support during the CTF will be provided during Slack. I just threw that link in there. It's a bit.ly. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/3bxm5, and then a capital C, capital D. That's also, if you go to my Twitter, so that's @BamCTF on Twitter. You'll see all this information is on there as well, and any other updates I'll put on there. And then don't forget to come back here on twitch.tv/CTF and Cigars on January the 14th at 10 a.m. Central Time to watch me, John Hammond, Dave Kleintland. And I'm sorry, Dave, I'm probably screwing your name up, but maybe we'll get that worked out when we see each other on Thursday. And other Huntress and Perch employees. We're gonna play some video games, talk about CTFs. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And what are we gonna be playing? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave that as a surprise because it might give away some of the challenges, and I don't want to give away too much before we actually get started. But yeah, we're gonna talk about video games. We're gonna talk about retro games. We're gonna talk about LAN parties. We are gonna play some Among Us and Jackbox. There's no CTF stuff around that, but then there are a couple games we're playing that are directly related to the CTF, and we'll see what those are on Thursday. All right, let's see. What else have I forgotten? I forgot about my cigar, and it went out. So that's never good. Speaking of that, I think that does it for the CTF side. I didn't have a lot to go over today. I just wanted to kind of bring that up, remind you guys that that's coming up. Make sure you register, make sure you get on Slack, and so on and so forth. Oh, yes, I will be giving away some cigars as well. During the live stream, we'll be doing a couple raffles. So you make sure you're on the live stream, and during the stream, I will tell you what to do. You can enter the raffle. It's only for people who are actually on the stream, and I will be sending you some cigars. So you've got that to look forward to as well. All right. I think that is everything on the CTF side. So let's move on to another topic. So this is CTF and cigars. So let's talk a little bit more about cigars. So I just want to talk a little bit about cigar etiquette. It's getting a little woody, I think, here. A bit of wood, still some leather, not as creamy as it was, and we haven't gotten down very far. I did notice that it started to burn evenly. So it had that angle, but it didn't take it long to start burning evenly. So that's good. You want a nice even burn when you're smoking. But okay, so cigar etiquette. Well, what the fuck is cigar etiquette? Well, um, most people when they talk about it, they refer to this article from 1967. So Zeno Davidoff. Davidoff is a pretty well known in the cigar industry. Davidoff brand cigars are top tier cigar. And this is his opinion. I've got some of my own opinions. So some of these I think are a bit dated, but there are a couple things to point out. So just going through the cigar do's and cigar don'ts. Of course, first of all, and I've mentioned this already today, but you warm the foot with the cigar slightly before starting to puff on it. So, all right, we've already talked about that. Removing the band. So there's some different thoughts about when you remove the band, or should you remove the band or whatever. I usually recommend that you do. But I agree with Davidoff here. You want to light it and smoke it a bit first before you remove it, because if you there's of course the band is held together by glue, and you can see here like sometimes they don't always get it perfect, so there might be a little bit of glue, not in this case, but like actually stick to the outer leaf of the cigar, and so if you pull that wrapper off too quickly, you could end up tearing the cigar. So you want to let it heat up a bit. It's going to warm up the glue and kind of loosen it up, and then you can take that off. All right, next, take your time. This isn't a cigarette. You're not in it to do something quick. Smoking a cigar is an experience. It's something you want to sit down and enjoy. So yeah, take your time when you're smoking. About a puff a minute is usually right. That'll keep it lit. If you set it down for too long, it will go out. You usually want to try to avoid that. But yeah, take your time. Now this is one where this separates the cigar aficionados from the novice. I'm more of a novice. But how do you hold it? So aficionados hold it between the index finger and your thumb, like this. This is how you smoke it. Apparently, this is how they teach them, aficionados. There's no reason except it's more elegant. But to me, it just feels weird. So I do between my index finger and middle finger like he tells me not to. So I apparently am a novice and an uncultured swine. So thank you, Davidoff, for pointing that out. All right, now another point where I probably disagree with Davidoff here. He says to allow the cigar to die dignified death after it's smoked about halfway. So yes, I usually smoke it down to the nub. That's kind of a personal preference in my opinion. I think with anything related to these etiquette things, as long as you're not like straight up rude to somebody else, this is really more of a personal preference. But in this case, this is one where we disagree. So I've seen this before, but the aficionados will say you smoke it about halfway and then you stop because that last, third or so, the last half it gets a lot more harsh. So the smoke builds up, it gets a lot more harsh. That's just up to you and how you prefer the taste. So it definitely builds on the flavor. You will see most people nowadays when they're doing reviews will smoke it down like all the way to the end, as much as you can. Lasts like inch and a half or so. And then they talk about the cigars in thirds. So that's something that most, I think, modern people might disagree with. Dispose of it discreetly and quickly. It's not a cigarette butt. You don't want to throw it on the ground. I mean, you shouldn't throw cigarette butts on the ground either. That's unsightly. And cigars are probably even more so. They're bigger. They start breaking apart. I mean, they are all natural. It's just made out of leaves. But still, don't litter. And then wait at least 15 minutes between them. Otherwise, you're being obsessive. All right, so some don'ts. Now, I haven't seen anybody do most of these, but I've seen a few. One, don't use a knife to cut it. Use a cutter. If you try to use a knife, you're gonna make a mess out of it. It looks bad. There's no reason to do it. Get a proper cutter and cut it. Don't touch the flame directly to the foot of the cigar. You want to hold it away from the cigar a little bit. So if you noticed, I don't know if you probably couldn't see the flame really well on this camera here, but I was trying to keep the flame around the edge of the cigar rather than actually on it. And then when I lit it again, I tried to keep it, an inch or two away, close enough for it to feel the heat and light it, but not actually directly on the cigar. If you do it, it will burn it. It affects the flavor. So that's kind of really the reason you want to do that. It's another personal preference kind of thing, but lighting a cigar should be a personal experience. Never ask anyone to light it for you. You can borrow somebody's lighter, but don't have them light it for you. Don't light your cigar too slowly or too quickly. Again, this is an experience. Take time to enjoy it. Don't indulge in exhibitionism, whether you're lighting or smoking your cigar. So, again, this is Davidoff's personal preference. I think he was a bit of a cigar aficionado snob, perhaps, but I've seen some people doing smoke rings, that sort of thing. Just smoke it, just enjoy it. Don't relight it if less than 1/4 of it is leaf. This comes down to the quality of the smoke. So if it keeps going out, chances are you should leave it out. Continuing relighting it, it actually every time you relight it, it does affect the flavor. It gets a little more harsh. So you want to try to avoid having to relight if you want to. If it keeps going out, probably means your cigar's done. Don't put it in your mouth to relight it. So you should just put the flame up, and so on and so forth. I think that's more, again, of a personal preference kind of thing for Davidoff. Don't clench your cigar between your teeth. Yeah, that's just gross. I can't. I don't know. Just thinking about it gives me the willies. So yeah, don't do that. Also, don't wet the end of your cigar. Don't chew it. Don't slobber on it. So this is something that I think came from older habits, uh, older technology. Before we had real good humidification technology, cigars would often be really dry, and so it was common for people, when they were to light a cigar, if it wasn't properly humidified, to wet it. And so I've seen somebody do this, and it like grossed me out. But I was at a party. Was sharing. I brought a box of cigars, and I was sharing them, and I gave one to a guy, and he took it, and he just licked it up and down all the way around it. I almost hurled. It was gross. Don't do that. I mean, if that's how you prefer it and you're home alone, do what you want to do when you're home alone. That's fine. But when you're around other people, don't lick your cigar. That's just gross. Don't smoke too quickly. It's not a sprint. It's not a race. It's a casual stroll through a park. So again, smoking a cigar should be an experience. It should be something that you do because you enjoy it. Take your time and enjoy it. Don't use a cigar holder. This isn't a cigarette, and you're not Cruella de Vil. um, don't stick a toothpick or matchstick into it. Again, that just is uncouth. And don't dip your cigar in port or brandy. So again, when it goes back to the humidification, Winston Churchill did this, and some other people picked it up. You're not Winston Churchill, so don't do it. Cigar makers, they spend a lot of time and years into perfecting their cigars. Don't fuck up the flavor by dipping it in brandy. Also, it's gonna, I don't know, it's just gonna screw everything up. I can't imagine why somebody would want to do that. Again, I think it was because they didn't have great humidification available, or people weren't keeping, didn't have humidors. Everybody didn't have a humidor. They just had some cigars, and so they would, do things to keep them wet, and that's one of the things that people did. Don't smoke while working. Well, I break that one every day. I come out here, work on my laptop from home. Of course, I think he's thinking of in the office. Of course, we don't really smoke in the office anymore. Yeah, going back to how do you hold it? Don't smoke while walking in public. That's just rude. And in most places, or in some places, you can't even, there's some laws about that as well, depending on where you live. Don't mash it or crush it in an ashtray. Respect your cigar. Let it die a natural death. Oh, I didn't even read this bit. A cigar is like a lover. Allow the relationship to die with dignity and grace. Thank you, Davidoff. That's very poetic. And then don't chain smoke. Again, a cigar is not a cigarette. If you're addicted, you should stop reading this article and seek help to quit. So a cigar is something you enjoy every now and then. Um, I will sometimes have a couple a day, and then I'll go a couple days without. So it's not an everyday. It's not a chain smoking kind of thing. Um, you just whenever you've got an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what you're smoking, take the time, enjoy yourself, and yeah, that's about it. It's well, I didn't agree with everything he said here. Gave you some of my own take. Again, I think everything though goes back to if you're home alone and you want to have a smoke and you've got a place to do it, then do what you enjoy, and there's no reason to follow somebody else's arbitrary rules. The main things that I've seen that I thought were really major faux pas was like the licking of the cigar. That's the one thing I've seen, and the chewing. I ran across a guy once I was at a brewery, and we were doing the brewery tour, and he had a cigar in his mouth, unlit, and he was just chewing on it. I have no idea why. It was very gross. If you want to chew on tobacco, they have chewing tobacco. Why get a cigar and chew on it? I don't know. All right. So I think that's a nice little overview of cigar etiquette. Haven't gotten very far on this one. It's burning. It's a nice slow burn. It's a nice even burn. Not a lot of change in the flavor so far. It is pretty leathery and woody. I think lost all that creaminess and sweetness. I've read a couple reviews and seen some different reviews on this, different takes. Some people, seem to think it's okay, but there were a lot of people who didn't like it. So I don't know. It's okay so far. It's not great. I have a feeling based on what I've read, it's going to get more harsh as I go. So I may not smoke this one all down to the nub, but we'll see. All right. So once again, just a reminder, January 14th, that is 2 days from now, Thursday, 10 a.m. Central. Come back here on twitch.tv/CTF and Cigars. Myself, John Hammond, Dave Kleitland from Huntress Labs, they're going to be here. We're going to be live streaming for 6 hours that day. We will be taking a couple breaks, but we'll have something on the screen while we take some breaks to take care of our biological needs. And I think that does it for today. Let me double check my notes, make sure I did not forget anything. I don't think I did. So, yep, that does it. Don't forget to register, play.bamctf.com. Don't forget to get on the Slack channel, follow my Twitter so that you can see any updates and that sort of thing related to the CTF, if anything else comes out between now and then. And yeah, I think that'll do it for today. I'll see you again in 2 days. Until then, if you are playing a CTF, don't forget, if you get stuck, to try harder, don't panic, and always RTFM. Bye.